I think this book is like the recipe to life, recipe to success, recipe to living your entire life, I think. You might think that you can just sit down and fold your hands and just think and
Yes.
you will read, but that's not the case. That's when you're thinking about the questions that are coming into exams, right? Then you're thinking about those questions all the time, and the frequencies inside your body is similar to that out there. So faith is the number one antidote of fear, because if you believe so deeply in something, you're not going to be scared. And after reading this book, I felt that if I fix my mind into something, I can achieve it. Like, I have so much of faith in myself at this point that I know I'm going to make it. That there is no ifs or buts or, if this happens or if that doesn't happen or anything at all. For example, you want to be a millionaire, right? So if you want to be a millionaire, you have to believe that you're already a millionaire and that you have to imagine that you are actually living like a millionaire right now.
Are they somehow the alternatives of each other?
No, not at all. If you can believe in something, if you can persistently do something, if you can focus your mind, soul and heart and your desire and your faith and a lot of love towards your goal, you're definitely going to be successful.
Am I audible? Welcome to the Book Talk, presented by the Bookwishes Club. Do you know that you are just one decision away from living a completely different life? We all want to be rich and successful at one point of time, but we always wonder how. Hello, book lovers. Welcome to the third episode of the Book Talk. This is me, Seleska Sharma, and today we have another guest who is going to talk about this beautiful masterpiece, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So let's welcome her. Hello, Nistha.
Thank you, Seleska, for having me in this show.
You're most welcome. And how would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
I'm an entrepreneur. We are working on a startup at the moment. It will be hopefully released in about 6 months to a year. And that's about me.
Thank you. So let's start by diving into the world of books. What essence does book has in your life so far?
Books are really my best friend. I really don't have I'm kind of like an introvert, so I don't really get well with other people, and a lot of times I've spent reading books. Books have been my best friend since a long time. I used to read books like children books when I was very young, and after then I switched to fiction, and then I switched to non-fiction when I was, I think, in grade 8 to 9. So after that moment, I've never left books, and Think and Grow Rich is a very dear and near to me because it was the book that I read in grade 8, I think, and it has been in my heart for a very long time. It's been a decade since I first read the book, and I've gone to it so many times, all the time. If I'm finding myself in a very challenged situation, or I can't make any decision, or things happen in life and you need that guidance or motivation, so it's been there my whole life.
I think we share quite a similar story when it comes to making book as our book best friends. But this made me quite shocking that you chose to read this while you were in grade 8, you said?
Yeah.
So have you tried reading it some other times, like in some other durations of years?
Oh yeah, I've been going into it. I read it almost every 6 months, I'd say. That all the time I'm just going back to it, taking the philosophy, taking the things that are there, taking bringing myself back to the situation, and then trying to take as much as I can. And every time I read, I get something new.
Yes.
It's not the same thing. Probably because I'm also an experienced person by that time. Maybe because I've also gathered some kind of experiences when life goes forward. For example, in grade 8, we didn't have much of experience in terms of professional experience or anything. We also don't have much of a challenge in our life because everything is given for us, right? Our parents give all the things that are needed for us. Food is given, education is being taken care of, you have everything that you need to really live a life. So you don't really think about anything, right? But at that time when I was I read this, it was not like I was searching for anything or anything at all. I read this book called You Can Win, and that was actually my first book into like non-fiction genre, where I was reading like positive things to like make myself in a better position. And this book like really stuck into my life for like a very long time, and I always go there and always get things out of there. I think this book is something that you can relate to from around, like if you are 14, 15, from then until you are like 70, 80, I don't know. Like you can relate to it throughout your life. This is that kind of book for me.
So yes, when it comes to reading the same book again and again, I also agree with you that we come to learn a different thing every time we read it, and that's the quality I love about book lovers the most.
Yeah.
And it's there's also a saying that every 7 years or in certain time durations you become a different person, because
That
we
is true.
experience something different
That is true.
every some durations of year. So would you love to read this again for
For
next
sure.
more
sure.
years?
For sure.
As now this book has been designed in such a way that all the steps discussed inside are connected to one another, right? But there is something in every book that which hits us the most. That is our favorite part of the book, let's say. So what is that for you in Think and Grow Rich?
For me, it's about like everything. Every single chapter is equally important because there are multiple chapters in here. It talks about decision making, it talks about the power of subconscious mind, it talks about the brain, it talks about the mastermind, as in like when you gather a lot of people together and you use each other's strengths, then you are going to get to a bigger place, greater place, because it's a collective effort, right? It's not just one person saying one thing, it's all of the people saying one thing. For example, if you're building something, if you're building a business, you equally need someone who is very creative, you equally need someone who is very much like organized person, who can like organize things and manage things well, and you also need someone who can like conduct day-to-day activities well. So if 3 people, 4 people are together, then you can really run a business in a very proper way. For example, in a kitchen, you need a chef, you need someone to cut the vegetables, you need someone to clean the kitchen, right? And if one of the things is missing, then the kitchen would be a mess, and like the recipes would not be perfect recipes. So I think this book is like the recipe to life, recipe to success, recipe to living your entire life, I think.
So that's a very catchy word you said, recipe to life, this book. So if you were to change the title of this book, would you keep the recipe of life? Just in hypothetically?
I'm not sure. I think and Grow Rich itself is a very great title for a book like this. From the title itself, you might think that you can just sit down and fold your hands and just think and you grow rich, but that's not the case. That's not the case at all, my dear audience. I think you would need to read this book in order to really get inspired, and you really take in everything that's in there into your life and really change your life. I'm sure that if you like follow this book step by step, I'm sure you'll reach to great heights in life.
That's really true when people see the book and just the title and they see Think and Grow Rich. So it basically, for the beginners, they kind of might understand that it's about just thinking, doing no efforts, no hard works, no jobs, and just getting rich.
Yeah.
So this also could be one attracting factor for people to get into this book or read this book or buy this book, because as there is a saying, do not judge book by its cover, but still this is a very catchy and very smart.
Easy now. It sounds easy because you can just sit down, do nothing, and then just
and
think
then grow
and
rich.
you'll grow rich. It's not going to happen. The thing is, you need to like fix your mind on something, and then you need to persistently do that over and over again, consistently. And undoing that, you need to have a mastermind.
Yes.
You need to have people who are really like experts in that, in those fields, and then apply their knowledge and read books, read like consume knowledge. He also talks about knowledge a lot of times.
Mastermind.
Yeah, and he also talks about great like diving into knowledge books, and then only you can like figure out something in your life, and then you can like do something, right?
So it's something like if you want to build your body, people do gym and all of those things. So if you want to build your brain, then all you have to do is read. So far. So all the chapters in the book itself is very interesting, and they are obviously hold a lot of knowledge and meaning. But the last chapter, that says the sixth sense, that holds my interest more than the any other topics inside, because I have often experienced that, and I quite believe my instincts, and that has helped me do a lot of things better as well. So there's an instances sometimes when you feel like this is the question that I might feel like is going to come into my examinations, and the next day I appear there and I see that question. That's a simple example of the feeling of sixth sense. So has it happened in your life?
Yeah, it has. And I believe that our body, our human body, is designed to be like a machine in a way that it attracts vibrations from the outer surroundings, and we are just receivers. We're not doing anything actually. We are just receiving the vibrations and frequencies that are out there, and whatever frequencies we have inside going on, those are the kind of frequencies and vibration will keep on like attracting. Like you said, when you're thinking about the questions that are coming into exams, right, then you're thinking about those questions all the time, and the frequencies inside your body is similar to that out there. So basically I think I like to think of our bodies like radio. So
Yes.
basically when there is a radio, we need to like tune it, right? We need to tune it into the particular channel or the frequency, right? We need to just tune it, and then it will start playing. And once it matches, only then it will play, or otherwise it will be just some kind of noise, background noise going on. So basically our mind is just like that. If you're always thinking about success, if you're always thinking about let's say money, for example, then you are going to attract that into your life. But you also must be ready to pay the price, and the price is consistency, hard work, effort, mastermind, alliance, so many
All
things,
other topics.
a lot of things. And it's not just going to be just thinking and growing rich.
Yes. So the implementation part is definitely missing in the topic.
And the way you talked about instinct, definitely it's the most important thing, and that has happened in my life a lot of times. And it happens to all the people, like
It does.
all the time. Sometimes we meet people that we were thinking of, and sometimes we even dream of people that we were just thinking of, and it happens all the time. It happens all the time.
So yes, I want to catch the line again, tuning the frequency.
Yeah.
So let's make our audience more clear about it, because when talking about sixth sense, it's basically listening to your body, as you said, right? So for that we need obviously all of the other things that we need to work on. But sometimes what we might also mistaken as well, that our slight predictions and all of these things that we might feel but which is not intense, that could also be a sixth sense. So how can we differentiate that this is the sixth sense and this is just I'm overthinking or predicting?
So basically, when you're having that sixth sense, you don't feel that fear or anger, or like when you're actually experiencing that sixth sense, you usually feel calm. You don't have any kind of infliction towards it. But when you're overthinking, you're in pain
You're
sometimes,
stressed.
you're angry sometimes, you're restless sometimes. But when it's actually the sixth sense, you're not going to be that built up. You're
You
not
can
going
like
to
feel it in your stomach.
yeah
Actually,
yeah you can
the
feel
sixth
that.
sense.
Yeah.
So this was the last chapter of this book. Coming back to the first chapter, desire. So it talks about desires of intense desire, actually, not only the desire, but intense desire of someone who wants to be successful and rich. But people might as well mistaken it as the desire for money or just the materialistic thing. So how would you differentiate? What have you realized while reading through that chapter?
So in this book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill gives an example of Edwin C. Barnes. He actually was a business associate of, I think it was Edison. He was so much into it that he wanted to be Edison's business associate for such a long time. He actually went there, and the first time he got job was that of a sweeper.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, Edison was making some kind of machine, and that was when he was talking to his sales associate and salespeople of that time. Those people were not actually intrigued by Edison's idea of that machine.
Mm-hmm.
And what this Barnes did was he actually went in front of Edison and said that, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm capable. And after that, he actually became business associate from a tramp, from a nothing, from a person who was like literally nothing, from a person who actually carried out the sweeping job for the first time. He went on to become business associate of one of the greatest men of our generation, not our generation actually, of our times. Yeah, we are still getting to live on his inventions. So I mean, I would like to say that he's still here in a way. So yeah, of our times, because we know about Edison, we read about him, we know a lot about him.
So that's the result of desire that he shows, portrays in that example.
Yeah.
And I can also recall an instance where he gives an example of his son who could not hear and speak.
Yeah.
But he had this strong desire to listen to him.
He was born without ears, and then in this he's talking about how he inflicted all those ideas that
to
you are
son.
allowed to hear, you can hear, even though you don't have ears, you are going to hear. And then it happened somehow when he was going to college, and after that he went on to sell those same instruments to millions of people, and that's his story.
Yes, but today's era, we find it quite unrealistic when we just hear to those instances where like that desire could treat something that was biological.
Oh no, I believe it in like all sort of ways, because it actually does. I've read instances of people who have gone to from being paralyzed, they have gone to actually climb Mount Everest.
I think persistence also plays a great role here.
And I think desire and faith has such a huge energy in it that you can actually do anything. I mean, you might not want to just fly because we can't really defy gravity, but you can think of the things that are possible. If something is possible for some other person in this entire world, it's gonna be possible for you. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what you're born with, it doesn't matter whether your parents are influential or rich or anything, but you can do it. If you really believe that you can do it, you can do it. There's no if or but or anything in that,
Having said that, desire and faith, but that does not work alone, for sure.
That is true.
But the power of imagination also plays a greater role.
Yeah.
So coming to chapter 4, the imagination, auto-suggestion, let's say, as Napoleon Hill suggests in the chapter. So how often do you practice auto-suggestion?
Oh, all the time. Auto-suggestion is something for example, in my case, because we are born in traditional families, and faith sometimes was equivalent with religion, and actually the worshipping of gods, and doing puja and all those things, right? That's what I saw, especially when I was growing up. And faith was not really there in me for a long time, in to those deities or to the traditions that we're following, and it was really hard for me to actually have faith in something. And then when I read this book, actually there is this chapter, there is this section on autosuggestion, and autosuggestion is something that helps you build up faith.
Yes.
When you're repeating yourself something over and over again, you start believing in it, and then that is called faith. When you start believing in something, that's actually faith, right? You start thinking about it all the time, and then it starts becoming your second nature, and then you start really believing in it.
Yes,
I think that's...
I also remember when he has mentioned that the way to becoming a genius is doing voluntary self-effort, that as he suggests. And there's another line where he also suggests that your life is do-it-yourself project or something like this.
That is true.
So we all have to do it ourselves. Nobody's going to do for us. But having said that, we will have people who will support us, like the masterminds and the knowledge that we gain from others. So I can already see the lot of impacts that you have had from this book through your words and experiences. But still, how have you found that? How has it impacted in your life so far, till date, in these all durations?
I used to be a very shy person, introverted almost, and I really didn't go out with people, and books were a huge part of my life, like I already said. And after reading this book, I felt that if I fix my mind into something, I can achieve it. Like, I have so much of faith in myself at this point that I know I'm going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
That there is no ifs or buts, or like if this happens or if that doesn't happen, or anything at all. Like I'm like so fully confident in myself because of practicing all these things into my life and making those things like my life mantra. So
Yes.
after that, like yeah, I know that I'm like so confident in myself that I can achieve things when I feel like I want to do those things. And I've done that a lot of times as well. Like while starting business, I was imagining that I'm going to start a business instead of doing a job or something. Then I did that, and I'm still
Yes.
working on it, and we're still building something, and hopefully it will come into fruition within like next 6 months to a year. Of course, there are going to be a lot of technical issues behind that,
Yes.
and so I'm not sure of the exact date. So it will be 6 months to a year, but it will be there. I'm sure that I can say that with faith and with like
All the
confidence, I can say that it's going to happen.
Yes, and all the best for your entrepreneurship success. And connecting this power of imagination, would you like to clarify it more to our audience? Because everyone wonders, how does imagination work?
Yeah. Imagination is not just sitting down here and just like having some glimpses. In the way that this book is trying to tell you to imagine is that actually believing in what you want, like you've already had it. For example, you want to be a millionaire, right? So if you want to be a millionaire, you have to believe that you're already a millionaire, and that you have to imagine that you are actually living like a millionaire right now.
Yes.
And then after that, you start making changes. How would a millionaire act today? So for example, you are a millionaire, right?
Yes.
So if you're a millionaire, how would you act like a millionaire? When you wake up, how would a millionaire act? Would that millionaire like wake up at 9 or 10, or like chill down in bed until like 11 or what?
Yes.
No, right? In order to be a millionaire, you need to do a lot of things.
Schedule your day.
Maybe that millionaire would wake up at 5 a.m.,
Yeah.
hit the gym, maybe have a great breakfast, maybe take a shower. So start cultivating those habits and act like a millionaire. And then after that, you'll definitely like join forces, and you will
Yes.
find people that are like you, people that want to be like you, or people that have already reached the point that you want to reach. And then like you start accumulating on all of those. And habits are like the most important parts.
Yes. So practicing this law of attraction, basically, we will
Yeah.
say in a word.
Yeah.
So that helps us imagine and achieve
Yeah.
what we want.
Imagination is not just sitting down and thinking about.
It's not just thinking and growing rich.
Yeah.
So it's also about imagining very critically. The imagination must
Critically
be
and clearly,
visible.
you must know the actual things. Like for example, you want to be rich, but you are not going to be rich if you don't know how rich you want to be. What's the amount that you want to have in your life?
I remember this.
If you want to have
write
$1 billion, you should write it down. I want to have $1 billion, and you need to have by what time? You can't just say one day. You have to have like within 2025, within 2026. Like what's the deadline of?
It should be realistic
Yeah.
after all. And
Yeah, that is true.
he suggests to read it twice a day,
Yeah,
so that it gets into your mind. And
that's what is auto-suggestion.
yes,
Like suggesting
Fixing.
yourself you're already living the life. You like reminding yourself of the things that you actually want in life. And yeah.
so as we have already discussed about that essence of all the chapters here,
Yeah.
as they are connected, so would you like to add another chapter to it?
I think persistence. Like when you have a goal, nothing matters more than like really focusing on it and doing it all over again, like every single day, making your efforts toward your one like goal. And when you are that one directional, you're definitely going to get like success. You're not going to be stopped by any of the earthly force. For example, you might be disturbed by, for example, if there is God's plan and there's landslide or earthquake or something like COVID, or then like some of the plans that you
Yes.
have might be, you might have to
Distracted.
tweak.
Yeah.
But if you really have some goal and you're really focusing on it and you're doing the work every single day, no one's going to stop you. For some people it might take very long time, for some people it might be a very short time, but you know, like a lot of times people think that have you heard the term overnight success?
It doesn't happen.
That is that's what I was about to say.
Yes.
Overnight success, it just looks like it's an overnight success, but someone is like doing the work every single day and that has not come to fruition for until some point, right? But that's like being accumulated, and then all of a sudden everyone sees that it's like an overnight success, but it doesn't happen.
And that connects to another chapter, organized planning. So once we are organized, then that persistence works.
Yeah.
So when it comes to persistence, we will definitely mention willpower. And a lot of people, and including us maybe in some situations, some or other situations, that we always limit ourselves, or we always get stuck somewhere because we are afraid of something, this fear of getting into that state of discomfort, or the fear of just losing something or losing people. That stops people from getting persistence. So what do you have to say about it?
I think fear is our worst enemy, and there are so many different kinds of fear, and in this book he also mentions a lot of that on it. So he talks about fear of poverty, like you said, and fear of losing loved ones, and fear of not being able to do something. There are so many different fears, and fears are like our greatest and worst enemies.
Yes.
And we should not be afraid. Like if you're fearful and not persistent, it's not going to work. Like you shouldn't be afraid. Like why are you even afraid of? Like I think if you, in this case, like I feel like if you have faith is the number one antidote of fear, because if you believe so deeply in something, you're not going to be scared. If you believe in yourself, you're not going to be scared. I mean, fear can be like overcome by having faith.
So as far as we have discussed till now about different aspects of thinking and growing rich, I kind of imagine this all chapters as the blocks of cards. When we make a house, and one, if we pick up from that, and the others get destroyed. So but which is the card that we would like to place on the top of all, if you were to complete that block of house?
I think I've already said it. It's a recipe, so you can't miss anything. If you have prepared everything, let's say you are making pasta, for example. If you put all ketchup, sauce, like whatever, pasta and cheese and everything, but you've forgotten salt, it's not going to work. If you've forgotten Italian spices, it's not going to work. It's not going to taste like pasta, right?
It is something like the cherry at the top of the cake.
I think
what
that
makes
this
it?
Everything is cherry on the top, and I think for that, like just to be the cherry on the top, I think it would be the sixth sense. Everything else is just building blocks of like getting towards success, getting towards your goal. I think everything is so very important that you can't have one without the other. Like it's a recipe. You need everything. You need like literally all the things that are mentioned, and that is the reason why this book is such a favorite book of mine, because it has everything in it.
Yes.
Like sometimes you might be feeling a little bit low, a little bit like confused, and then if you're reading this, like it will help you be back on the track.
So it's basically like that kind of stuff, or that book, I would say, which if you were given option to choose only one to pick wherever you go, then you would pick this.
I mean, I love so many books that I wouldn't say that like but if it was just the one book that I had to take, I think that would be it.
Think and Grow Rich could be that.
Yeah, it could be.
So let's get deeper into other topics as well, because our audience want to know more, of course, I'm sure. So there's a topic, specialized knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's connected to others, definitely the mastermind and other stuffs. So what is your realization from that, learning that chapter of this book?
For me, specialized knowledge is all about having the knowledge into very depths of whatever you want to do. For example, if there is an artist, that person must know like the paint, the fabric, or the oil base, or whatever is required in the field, right? In If he knows that, then only he'll be able to paint a
Yes.
masterpiece. There are going to be different techniques of painting. Someone might be a charcoal artist,
Mhm.
someone might be a oil painter, someone might be like doing some different kind of art,
crayons.
abstract art, classical art. Like there are lots of things, and someone actually might be making his own version of art, something that we've never seen before. And in order to do that, that person must be very much efficient with his tools. And specialized knowledge is actually a tool for every single one of us. Whatever field that we want to be in, we need to know in depths of it. For example, someone wants to do video editing as a profession. That person must know everything related to the video editing tools, whatever new technology is being out there, how can he effectively produce better content, how can he effectively write scripts. And if he doesn't know how to write script, then we need to have a mastermind, someone who knows how to write script, someone who knows how to do lighting in his for his videos. If there is something that's lacking, then it's not going to work. If he is producing the best content but there is no lighting, for
Yes.
example, then the face would be not clear, and the story would not be portrayed as effectively as it could have, right? And if there's no not good cinematography, then we would not enjoy as much as we would have if there was a good cinematography, right? So in order to become a great video editor, that person must know everything. Either he must know everything and then apply that, or he must have masterminds, someone who is very good at lighting, someone who is very good at writing content, someone who is very good with cinematography, and someone who is maybe very good at taking B-rolls. We need everything. So specialized knowledge combined with mastermind, I think that's the recipe.
Are they somehow the alternatives of each other?
No, not at all. For example, you want to be a chef, for example. If you don't know anything about food, how can you actually be a chef and expect other people to just do the work for you? It's not going to happen that way. Of course, it can be like an addition for sure. Like if you don't know something, then obviously that person can help you. But if you know nothing at all, then it's not going to work. You need to actually have a specialized knowledge in the field that you want to go.
So masterminds alone also cannot
No.
fulfill everything. So
No.
specialized knowledge with masterminds make, I think, a
Yeah.
good recipe for something. So another important thing that I've mentioned early when I began the episode is decision making. It's said that we are just one decision away from living a completely different life. And a lot of people fail to make right decision at right time. It's either because they are afraid, they have fear of something, or because they lack experience or knowledge about it. So a lot of people are struggling with making decisions, and there's a chapter about it that Napoleon Hill has written via taking, I have heard the interview with 500 peoples out there. So it's the foundation of decision making skills for any individual. What have you learned about decision making from that chapter?
I think decision making can be one thing that will come to fruition when you have all the other things combined. If you have a great team, a great mastermind, then they would help you, guide you, and they will like help you come into a decision also. Sometimes it's also because of specialized knowledge, because you know something very well, that you know for sure that this is the path for you, right? For example, you have studied to become a musician, then you know how to play music, right? If that's your passion and you know that's what you desire, then obviously you can make a decision. And of course the fear part comes into play, and fear is like the biggest, greatest enemy of all times. And in order to really like get rid of fear, you must have faith in yourself, you must have faith in your mastermind, you must have faith in whatever you're doing, and you must be persistently doing it over and over again, and that's what will make you successful.
I can see how all the words come into
Yeah.
play,
It's
like
all-
a
it's all
series
together, yeah.
and steps.
It's not going to be just one thing.
So they are all the building blocks,
Yeah,
and we need to follow them one by one each.
that is true.
But following all of this again needs consistency.
Yeah.
So how have you maintained to continue that consistency throughout whatever you are doing?
I'll be honest with you. It's not that every single day that I'll be working as hard as I can. Sometimes my days will be slow. Sometimes I'm
Definitely.
working like 100%. Sometimes even like giving myself 150%, meaning that I'm not taking any breaks and, like just working, constantly working. And that will sometimes tire me. And then the next day, maybe I'd not be able to give my best. But every single day, I know that I must do things and I do those things. When I know I need to do those things, I just sit down and do those things, even if it's just for an hour. If someday, if I'm not able to work for, let's say, 6 to 7 hours, I'll at least make sure that I'm working for an hour or two. That's what I can do, right? So that is called persistence, because every single day it might not be feasible. Sometimes you might be feeling tired. Sometimes you might be having some kind of meetings or something. Sometimes you might have some errands to run. Sometimes you're celebrating festivals and you're doing a lot of things. And in between that, you must make sure that you're following your passion at least for couple of hours every single day. And that helps when you're following a routine. When you have a regular routine, for example, if you wake up every single day at 4 a.m., you would have a lot of time in your hand.
Yes.
And by the time
The day
everyone is
feels
just
long.
everyone is just waking up, you'd have already have like 4 hours of your day. For
Yes.
example, if you wake up at 4, you can go to a gym, shower, eat your breakfast, everything by 6 o'clock.
Yes.
And after that, if you are just sitting down for another 3 hours to work on something that you really love, it would just be 9 a.m. And after that, you can actually go to your job also, like if
Yes.
you want to. So basically, it's just having a routine and following that routine. And even while maintaining routine, it's not going to be like every single day you'd be able to manage it like 100%. Sometimes it could be 90%, sometimes it could be 100. I think that is it.
So yes, I can also relate to that thing. When I basically wake up early than anyone else, I feel like the day is longer. Sometimes I even feel like 24 hours is too less for me, and sometimes it feels like the day I have so much of time in my hand. And it's all about pushing yourself from the bed, first of all, and motivating yourself. So, what message would you like to give to the beginners who want to read this book, who want to try getting the extracts of what's inside, but they are lacking this consistency or persistence or whatever aspects that we need? So what would you tell as a reader of this book, not once, just multiple time reader of this book? What would you suggest to the audience?
I think to the audience, this book is like a gem. You should read this book. That's it. Like, you should read this book, and you should apply everything that's written in this book. Just reading this would do nothing to your life, because if you're just reading is like another fiction that you've read, or another anything that you've read, another article that you've read, or anything, it's not going to work. Trust me, it's not going to work. I've tried that. I read this book once, and then I've just thought that just thinking and growing rich would make me actually rich. It didn't. And I read it again to really grasp the meaning behind it. And then after reading it so many times, I've actually understood the principles of it, and I try to live by those principles these days. And that's it. Like, if you're living by these principles, I'm sure that you're going to be in the right track, right direction. You would not need anything other than this in order to like really be successful in your life. This book is actually about not actually about, but based on one person whose name is Andrew Carnegie, and that person is actually the richest man of that time, and he was a billionaire by today's like conversion rate,
Yes.
today's inflation rate, but that time he was a greatest philanthropist, and he, I think, donated almost more than $5.8 billion of today's time. So he donated that much money back then, and he was leading Carnegie Steel Corporation, and he was a great businessman. And Napoleon Hill actually took interview of him also, and it was guided by that guy. And this is the book that would make you successful. And trust me, it's not just being said by me. It's also based on principles and journeys of a lot of people, including Edison, including Andrew Carnegie, who is like a business tycoon of that time. Yeah, trust me, you should read this book. Just read this book, and yeah, that is it. If you can think of something, you can do it. if you can believe in something, if you can persistently do something, if you can focus your mind, soul, and heart, and your desire and your faith, and a lot of love towards your goal, you're definitely going to be successful. And including on that way, you can have like people that will help you be successful, mastermind group, and specialized knowledge in that field. You're going to be successful for sure.
That was a lovely message to audience, and I'm very sure that audience are very excited to go through and grab what's inside it. Obviously, they have, not only them, we all have this clear concept now that it's not only about thinking and growing rich.
For sure.
So thank you for choosing this book and explaining it so beautifully. I really had fun talking to you, and thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
So, dear audience, I'm sure that you had a great time watching us, and you must be really excited to go and grab this masterpiece by Napoleon Hill and extract from what's inside of this. And as I always do, take some words from our guest. Today, what she said, and I loved it, that faith is antidote to fear. So let us all overcome this fear, overcome this mountain that is within you, and achieve everything possible that we have dreamed of through the power of imagination and all other things that we discussed today. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next episode. Also comment your favorite books in the comment section below. It's me, Seleska, signing off.